Yoshi, is the I don't see the live stream on there yet.
Yeah, that's what I had to like put out.
Oh, you have to do that. Okay.
Thanks for
Nee, wir haben im Prinzip das ist noch keine einzige Zeile Code geschrieben worden.
Nee, ich habe auch nicht. Ich habe ein paar Zeilen in der S-Bahn geschrieben.
Über den Tagen danach ist es bei mir im Endeffekt eher so eine Inspiration.
And reading things like so nice they didn't have a football incredibly good.
Alles Mögliche. Ich habe jetzt zuletzt ich habe mich immer noch sehr lange auf das Gucken angeguckt. Ich habe damals angefangen mit Workflow, jetzt zu allerletzt habe ich daran gearbeitet, an Social Taxi zu analysieren.
Aaron should be aware that about 1 minute. Service is supervising right now.
Wie ich auf den Weg komme, ist es eigentlich
Hast du die ungefähr genauso voll oder
I mean, none of them, that's what work.
Ist auch weniger für mich selber. Ich versuche von dem
Are you trying to set up a live stream inception?
Yeah. Do we reckon everyone's here who's coming?
I think there are still some people missing.
Okay, we can wait.
Let's wait for 5 minutes or something.
Sure.
Not sure who is showing up. like he didn't register, so
WordPress habe ich jetzt zum Beispiel.
he's the guy who gonna I have a hospital. Because it's Alan in the und die sind trotzdem ganz gut.
Aaron, when I post a picture to Slack, I get a message saying that you've made a public copy of it. Is that something that goes into
Oh, I didn't realize it did that. It's because if you, okay, so the way that it works is if you upload a picture to Slack, it sends it to IRC, but
Right.
if I had to make an API request to make it public, otherwise the link stays visible unless you're logged into Slack, so it's not useful in IRC.
Okay.
So it makes it public and then sends the public link
Fine.
to IRC.
Because I know can you put pictures?
No, you have to
put it
put it
somewhere.
somewhere,
Right.
and it's in a URL. So I made it work.
Yeah.
Pretty much like you would expect in Slack. It works. You just upload a picture,
Right.
and then it shows up everywhere.
No, that's great. Because putting it somewhere else
It can be difficult. Yeah. For the docs building sessions to discuss.
So we began with the meta, which we're on top of.
Right.
Build to
Wow.
and then on the individual dots. So that's when those then when there's a topic, there's 3 and 4 dots. That one. Then you can vote any.
Das ist immer noch nicht. Und Feature, was immer noch nicht drin ist.
That's how we do
Ich habe mit meinem ich hatte
Because of the website. So I kind of cheated and said that we covered all of those tools. Basically any technology that wasn't user facing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wiped from
That's good. Those are less interesting.
whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Yep. Programming languages, so wherever you want.
Server-side friendly, whatever you want.
Da habe ich halt mit
Reminded me to hear these.
Well, no patents, right?
Did you hear how Fraunhofer made a press release that Imgur is dead?
Yeah. And a whole bunch of places just
So bad. So bad. They were given a press release and they just wrote it up. But not stop to think about it. We can't charge for it anymore. Yeah.
Da habe ich dann irgendwie 100 Euro gegeben, da war gut. Das ist cool. Ja, also ich hätte die Backen schon die meisten, die bei den Projekten, die schon spielen, so weitergeführt werden, die und dann habe ich bin ich ja sehr für PHP-Applikationen in eine Applikation rein, in eine Datei die ich eigentlich nur von der Webserver schmeißen muss und es funktioniert alles. Du kannst keine Abhängigkeit installieren und so. Aber es funktioniert halt nirgendwo auf weder in dem Open-Random. Das war meine Hauptprobleme. Und da habe ich das natürlich dann die weil dann die Google weil es halt deutlich
Yeah, accidentally.
Bei Karl gab es dann also Remi Kollege mit das ist ja ganz gut. Aber wir haben ein Problem, zum Beispiel WordPress, wo du selber Tennis laden kannst. Und im Upload-Folder, da wurde es keine Qualität nicht ausgeschaltet, dass der Content ausgeführt wird. Aber du musst dann natürlich Partner sein.
Friends of mine,
Und sowas kommt dann halt nur.
they were traveling in Venezuela, and
die Apache so gepatcht hat, nur in machen wir Anschluss im Upload-Folder in der WordPress also ich mache WordPress selber, glaube ich nicht mehr.
Aber WordPress schon das Problem, glaube ich, habe mit Google GPL, also mir da selber mal kurz da hat es funktioniert, das ist auch was. Und da habe ich festgestellt, dass WordPress schon zwar nicht nach der Zeit nach dem Einführen. Das wäre dann glaube ich
Jetzt haben wir gesagt, als wir den eingeführt haben, hatte WordPress sonst nicht, oder? Okay.
ich bin wahrscheinlich inzwischen
Ja.
die Kosten vorbei, bevor ich gar nicht vorkomme.
Wenn ich mal wirklich schon mehr, dann werde ich meine eigenen Mikros machen, Pause, Passstellen, dann kann ich das ist auch nicht nachher aufgeben. Das hätte ich schon noch so gedacht. Das ist so eine Police. Ja, in der Blut und aktuell noch in der Musik.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kick off. Hello. Would you please have a seat somewhere? And then we can start. I think there's still some people missing, but
Slash live, right? Okay. What's that?
I'm just going to say some words before I hand over to Jeremy and Adam. Welcome. Really glad that so many people came to Nuremberg. That's the second time. We have nice weather again. I don't know if you were in Nuremberg yesterday, but that's any webcam weather actually. Happy you're here. Just a few sentences about what's going on and what's things like that. First of all, there's Wi-Fi. If someone of you once you get to the Wi-Fi, the credentials are on this chalkboard here. The toilets are just at the entrance. There are two of them. The left side, you don't have to turn on the light. It's like automatic. Right one, you have to turn on the light. There are drinks and coffee and everything just around the corner here. You can serve yourself, please. We have a code of conduct, which is like there, which basically says be nice to each other, don't dick around. And there's also a code of conduct on the Indie website, Indie Webcamp site as well. What else? We have a sponsor, which is SUSE, OpenSUSE. Probably some of you know them already. They're a Linux distributor. At least one guy of them might show up, but I'm not really sure because they're really busy. But they enable us to put together like travel assistance fund. I teamed up with Mark, who's running the Beyond Telrun conference. Some of you have been at the Beyond Telrun last week. Because of the sponsor and the fund, we were able to support 2 people to get here. That's Amber and Callum. Leo as well, and Callum. So thanks a lot to SUSE. They're not here right now. At least they brought some swag, and it's over there, and you can serve yourself nice T-shirts and stickers, and just take them if you want. Anything else? Well, we're gonna have a lunch break later on. There will be catering coming to us. You don't have to go anywhere. There's one table outside, so if you like to sit there and chat as well, you can do this. If you want. Did I forget? Yeah, coffees for free. That's really important. And if you want to be nice, you can there's a bowl with coins, and you could put in some coins if you'd like to be nice. Did I forget anything? I guess not. Okay, so let's hand over to our interns.
All right. Thank you, Yoshi. Thank you for hosting us. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Who's been to an Indie Webcamp before? Okay, that's most people. For those of you who haven't, I'll just give a quick bit of an intro and background to this Indie Web thing. I've got the website pulled up here, and it's right there. The Indie Web is a people-focused alternative to the corporate web, which makes it sound all very political. And it kind of is, but really it's a very simple idea, which is having your own website is really nice. Owning your own data is really nice. Having the decision about what you do with that data is really nice. So the idea with the Indie Web is not that, okay, we all have our own websites and we hoard our stuff there. It's more like, how can we have the best of both worlds? How can we have the control over our own data, what we're posting, but still get the benefit from these networks where everybody is, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Flickr, all these places. But fundamentally, the idea is you should post on your own website and send copies to these other places. Syndicate out there. So there's this acronym POSSE, publish on your own site, syndicate elsewhere. Examples of that would be posting little status updates on your website, but having those status updates appear on Twitter, for example. And that's totally doable, and some of us are doing that. Where it gets really interesting is when you want to also get the benefit of the social activity that's happening out there on those other sites back to your own site, right? So if someone comments on something or likes something or retweets something, that you get a notification back on your own site. And that's totally doable as well. And we could go into the technologies of all those things, but to be honest, the technologies don't really matter as much as the idea. And we've got there's principles for the Indie Web, and none of the principles will be about specific technologies. Although technologies are really interesting, I find there's WebMention and MicroPub and all these very nicely designed little pieces of technology that fit together really well. But ultimately, they're just the enablers. And the whole point is that independent feeling, that you've got your own website. So there's a bit of a bit of a paradox here in that it's really nice when we all come together like this for 2 days and we work on stuff and we get stuff done. But at its heart, the indie web movement is actually quite a greedy, selfish kind of movement, because frankly, it's all about you and it's all about your own website, right? I mean, I come here and I get great support from people, but it's all in aid of making my website better, right? So it does feel somewhat selfish and yet somewhat, communal at the same time. Yeah, I think that's how I would describe the indie web. Aaron, how about you? What's in it for you?
No, that's a great overview. It's one of the, so after you're posting your own content on the place that you control, so you can do whatever you want with it, the next step is then using your website to talk to other people. And Jeremy mentioned briefly syndicating to networks like Twitter, where there's already people there that you can talk to and getting responses back. But it's also very interesting to talk directly from individuals' websites to each other, and not using the networks like Twitter. So we can communicate directly using our own websites, and that's where it starts to get really fun. And that's like Jeremy said, it's his selfish interest. That's my selfish interest. Is I want to talk to people, but I don't want to have to use networks like Twitter. I want to be able to use my own website to talk to people, and I enjoy working on new ways to make that happen, and getting other people on board with that as well. So you'll probably notice that another theme today is communicating with each other and commenting on each other's posts and liking each other's posts, and we can do that without relying on Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus, and whatever other ones came before.
Yeah. So if you're kind of just getting started in this indie web thing, I think a nice thing to do is look at what you're currently using, what kind of services out there, and what kind of content are you currently publishing using other people's tools, other people's services. So if you're writing on Medium, maybe think about writing on your own site but syndicating to Medium. If you're not much of a writer but you do a lot of photography and you're posting to Instagram or Flickr or other photography places, then maybe thinking about, okay, how can I either post to my own site and post and syndicate out to those places, or at the very least get the data, get those photographs from those places and onto my own site. If you're more of just a Twitter user, right, you're not much of a long form writer, that's cool too. But maybe it could be you have the record of all your tweets on your site and you post out to Twitter. Part of the reason for that, I find it gives me this feeling of independence is really nice, and I just feel less beholden to these third-party services. Like, if Twitter disappeared tomorrow, I'd be like, oh well, I've always got my own website. If Instagram disappeared, oh well, I've always got my own website. And that's quite a nice feeling, especially when it starts to almost feel inevitable that you're on those third-party sites and you can't survive without them. It's a good feeling to realize, no, you can be independent. So the way it's going to work for the next 2 days is there'll be a very big difference in today, Saturday, and tomorrow, Sunday. And at a fundamental level, today is about talking and tomorrow is about doing. So today what we'll do later on, after we do a few intros and demos, is we'll figure out a schedule for discussions and talks. Who's been to a bar camp before? Okay, so you know how it'll work. We'll put a schedule together. We'll figure out what we want to talk about. Everybody can propose things, and it somehow works out. And then tomorrow we actually work on stuff. So if right now you don't know what you're going to work on tomorrow, don't worry about it, because I guarantee by the end of today, you'll probably be excited about something, or something will come up you haven't even thought of, and you'll be raring to go. And as well as working on your own site, the other nice thing about being here in a group of people is you could actually potentially end up helping somebody else out. Right? You might have done something on your site, somebody else wants to do the same thing, and you can share your experience. Or you're using a particular content management system, and somebody else is using the same content management system, and you can share ideas and experiences and help one another out. I personally find that I get an amazing amount done at Indie Webcamp because of the other people. their knowledge. You know, I can just say, hey, how does this thing work again? Or can you explain this to me? And I'll get something done way faster than if I was just working on my own. So tomorrow will be all about the doing. Today will be discussions and talks.
Yeah, so we'll start today with introductions,
Yeah.
and then tomorrow it will end with demos. So everybody will show what they made on Sunday. In the introductions, I guess we can probably
Yeah.
kick it off. Jeremy can start. I will
Okay.
go next. But after when you come up here, bring a computer or use this one if you want to just show something. Introduce yourself with your name and your website if you have one, and just give a quick blurb about what you do on your website or what's the last thing you improved on your website, and we'll take it from there. Oh, we forgot to mention the IRC and the live stream.
Mm.
So we are live streaming this, and it's on the Nuremberg Web Week website. So
Hello, everybody on the internet.
hello, internet. It's on the Nuremberg Web Week website, and it's also indieweb.org/live, and that will always redirect to the current session. There's some of you know, some of you don't. There's a constantly running throughout the year IRC channel, where everybody just hangs out and talks and works on this stuff outside of IndieWeb camps. And it's IRC and also a Slack, so you can join multiple ways. And there are people there in various time zones who will probably chime in on some of the discussions happening and join the live stream as well.
And you can join in just on the website.
You can join the website as well.
Which is
indieweb.org/IRC/today. And there's a button to join Slack and on the website. Yeah,
Okay.
so with that.
So I'll just talk about my site. I've had my own website for over 15 years now, so that's as a blog sort of thing. And over the last few years, I've added more types of posts, I guess. So I started owning my own links a good few years ago. You can see in the early days I didn't do that. I was using things like Delicious, and I was using Magnolia, and other services that no longer exist. Get bought out by some large company and take all my data with it, which is another reason why it's quite nice to own your own data and send copies to these services. So when they do get bought out by a large company and kill your data, you still got your copies. I started posting notes to my own website about 2 years ago. That's basically tweets, right? Little short updates. These are longer articles, and I've got my journal, which is basically my blog. Some of the stuff you can see here on the website I did at Indie Web Camps. So actually putting in these spark lines, that happened here last year, Indie Web Camp Nuremberg last year. We were having a really good discussion about how you display activity over time. And I ended up spending the Sunday making these spark lines, which was quite nice. The most recent thing I did on my site, well, one thing I didn't really have to do anything was I started posting check-ins from Swarm to my site, but that was thanks to a tool that Aaron has built called Own Your Swarm. He can show that in a minute. I kind of didn't have to do anything because I already had all the building blocks in place: MicroPub, IndieAuth, WebMention, all these little building blocks that we can talk a bit more about. But last weekend at Indie Web Camp Nuremberg, I was messing around with some offline stuff. So the idea being that if you're looking at my website but the internet connection goes down, there's still things you can read because you visited that page while you were online and it's storing it offline. It's quite fun. So I might iterate on some of that tomorrow, see how it goes. But yeah, that's basically my site. I'm posting most stuff to my own site and syndicating outwards. You can see there's photographs, and in this case I've syndicated that to Twitter, and I've syndicated it to Flickr. So there's the copy on Twitter, there's the copy on Flickr. And I see that we've got, let's see, a comment, a couple of likes. I wonder if it's shown up already. Let's try. See if this works. We haven't got the responses yet, but those responses will show up on my own site. That's using the service Bridgie, which is a fantastic service that keeps an eye on Twitter and Flickr and all those places. And if someone posts a response there, you get notified on your own website. So I'll start receiving those responses here if we come back to that later. But yeah, that's my site. Yeah, we'll see what we work on tomorrow.
So I'm Aaron Parecki, aaronparecki.com or aaronpk.com for short. And this is my website. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been working on adding support for check-ins to my website. I use Swarm a lot, so I check in everywhere. And I've always felt like it was a big missing piece of data that wasn't on my own website. I started posting photos and notes to my website a long time ago, but the check-ins always felt like a missing piece, and if Swarm went away, I would feel like I lost a big chunk. So I've been working on that and working on improving that over the last couple of weeks. I made a tool that is called Own Your Swarm, and the page isn't very pretty, but it looks like we're already logged in, which is great. So I can just show this. This is Jeremy's account, and it basically doesn't have any UI. This is just sort of admin settings. You connect it, and then it just works without any interaction from you. But it will basically turn the Foursquare API post into a micropub post, where if you already support micropub, it's very easy to just get check-ins on your website. And so I have that running in the background all the time now. And the last thing that I added yesterday was this little blue dot. And this is, of course, based on the blue dot from Google Maps, and that means that I'm still here. And if I leave the area, it will go away, even if I don't check in somewhere else. So I'm unreasonably happy about this. But that works because I already check my location all the time from my phone, which is where this comes from. This is my current phone battery life. And that's the current local time of wherever I happen to be. And that's the weather of wherever I'm at. And then, of course, I use the location for doing things like adding the location to posts. So every post that I make gets tagged with the location. So I already had all that set up, and so it wasn't actually a huge amount of work to make the little blue dot show up. And I'm pretty happy about that. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. Who's next? Feel free to use this computer if you don't have anything you need on your computer, just so we can avoid switching.
So the story why I'm here is I start with a name. I think it's the better thing. I'm René Bregner. I'm a web designer and web developer for a company that makes sliding door drive systems. And about a month ago, my colleague asked me to make a portfolio site for me, because he knows a lot of people who need small websites and like this. But without a portfolio, he can't show me to them, because a web designer without a portfolio is like non-existing. So I thought about getting my old domain back that I had when I was 14. I had my name as a domain, and this was this one, renebregner.de. I really loved that domain, but then comes a time where I don't have the money to pay it, and now it's this fuck. It's a fucking shoe shop for fake shoes from Hong Kong and India. I swear to you, I will find the person who hosts this site and punch him. But, so, the thing was, this really struck me down. I thought, oh fuck, this is the only domain I really like. I thought about other domains, only last name, but nothing really I liked. And then I came over to this really criminal looking TK domains. They are cheap, and my name was available, so I came to rene.dk. It's a short domain, and I not had very much time. It was 1 week before the web week. I claimed this domain. Hadn't really much time, but I think this is a clean interface, a clean looking website. I'm also made it like something responsive on phones. There are bigger buttons that you can easier get this, and yes, I'm happy to. Another reason for this simple thing is I saw Indie Web Camp. It's about making your own website and blah, and so I thought before I work on this, I come here and try to learn something, and then maybe after tomorrow this will look something different.
Cool. I mean, as it is already, you've already got contact information about yourself. You could mark that up in HCard, which is a micro format. You're linking out to yourself on other services, Instagram, Facebook. There's ways of tying that together so you can make use of this authentication stuff.
There are our
Rel means great, yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. So already you've got, maybe switching over to HTTPS before the end of tomorrow could be a possibility.
Maybe.
So there's all sorts of things we could do.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you. In fact, there's a service, if you're just starting out, is it IndieWebify Me?
Yeah.
IndieWebify.me is a really nice, like, if you're wondering, what should I do? I'm not sure. This kind of guides you step by step through, okay, get your own domain name. Step one, you've done that, right? And then start. It's a bit gamified, right? You're starting to level up and stuff, but yeah, it's a good place to start. Who's next? Yeah, go for it.
Hi, my name is Amber. I just started with web development not too long ago, and I've been doing it in Brighton, and Jeremy's been helping out. I've been going to a coding meetup for underrepresented people in tech, so like women and things like that, and it's been really great, and I've met some really, really great people in the community. I've been slowly building up my own site and trying to make it better. I'll show it to you. Oh, this is different to how I've got mine set up.
There we go.
Okay, so there it is. So this is it at the moment. I'm gonna change this title every now and again. So I like to blog, and I like to sort of, the ideas bit is things that I discover that are interesting to me, so I put them on there. The most recent thing is that I added this right here. Some of you might know what that is. And that's actually really easy for me. The people that I host with, SiteGround, they have like this one-click thing where you can just say, yeah, I want HTTPS. Why not? So that was cool. I've been playing around with the CSS, but yeah, that's another story. And when I'm here, I'm actually quite interested in the work that Aaron's been doing with the location stuff, linking back to your own site. I mean, I've been using Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, for years and years, and I never thought that, it would be kind of a thing or easy to link to first post on your own site and then link off to these other sites. But I think that sounds really cool, and I'd really like to do that and be a part of the community that brings back the independent web for everybody. So yeah, that's it.
Very cool. Who's next?
I do.
Hi, I'm Christian Maisky. My website is it's commentmaisky.de. That's probably the only design I ever made. It takes the current weather in my hometown Leipzig and colors the page in exactly this these colors. At night in Leipzig, you would see this, and if it's snowing, then the whole page is white. Because I'm more a tech person, I've got a really simple blog, a static one, and what I did is when I heard about IndieWeb, and I wanted to log into the IndieWeb.org wiki. I thought that I couldn't really because I need a link on my site which links to GitHub or Facebook, and I don't have Facebook and I don't do Twitter, and so but I like OpenID, so I wrote a proxy which proxies IndieOut requests to OpenID. So if I try to log into this page, and then IndieOut will actually go back to my OpenID server and do all authentication on it. Another thing I did was you just saw my blog, and I've got over 400 blog posts now, and sometimes I know that I once did something but don't remember where, so I wanted to have a search button, but I didn't want to rely on any external services, so I wrote my own search engine. Which is actually this, and it's based on Elasticsearch and indexes my blog in real time. So when I publish a blog post, the engine is automatically notified by with WebSub and indexes the post, including all linked blog posts, so that when I link something, I can find its back by its content. And after I did this, I noted that we have our IndieWeb channel with many chat logs going back to 2011. So I set up an instance for this. Yes, this. And you can search the whole chat log of several IndieWeb channels back to 2011. And we've got nearly 1 million chat lines, which are searched. And this is unfortunately not real time, it's indexed every 15 minutes. And what else did I do? I started very early hosting my own bookmarks using a web application called Semantic Scuttle, which I host locally on my home server, which is not reachable from outside. But when I'm at work, I actually wanted to bookmark things, so I wrote a chatbot, which I can chat via Jabber, put a URL and some text and tags in there, and it will create the bookmark in my web bookmarking software. And one thing where I was bitten by services going down was preview images for links on my bookmark server. And the service that was used there was shut down. So I thought, okay, I could get search a new service, which is maybe offline next year or in 5 years. And then I've got exactly the same problem again. And then I thought, okay, let's build our own website screenshot service. And is this, and then you just type your URL and get a screenshot or a PDF, which is actually searchable back. And it has an API and can be used from anywhere. Yeah. And yeah, that's about the things I do. More the tech stuff.
Is there a CMS under your site for the public? Something you've written yourself or
Oh, it's a static site.
static site?
And self-written static site generator. I write in HTML, some bare HTML, and then the generator puts around the CSS and the menu and all the stuff.
Cool. Very nifty. Who else?
Once we're going.
Yeah, let's go around the table. That's good.
That's good. Keep it structured. Morning, my name is Sebastian. Just arrived here from Berlin this morning. And as it says on my website, I'm a sociologist and interaction designer, so I have less of a technical or technology background. I do have quite a good understanding of all the front and back end stuff that you need to do WordPress things and so on. I just checked the other day, my first website I made in '95, like 22 years ago, so I've building with tables and all this kind of stuff. And actually my domain has also been around for 13 years already. So I'm I went indie way before I even know that it's a thing. Of course, this has seen iterations over iterations. This is the last one, which is 2 or 3 years old, and it's kind of emerging to the stage that it starts to become painful to even change anything, because I've been, again, it's not a structured process. It's always events like these, or whenever I have a new idea, I just implement it. And since I'm not a techie, this is kind of a lot of spaghetti code there in the back. For me, these indie webcams are not only an opportunity to work on my website, but also professionally. I'm always interested in the sociological perspective, in the human perspective. And also, I just can't help it. My brain just keeps challenging this pre-assumption, which is often in tech, that if it can be done, it must be done. Whereas my perspective often is, if it can be done, it must be analyzed whether it should be done. And that's maybe I show quickly a few features here. So since this is also my professional website where I provide my consulting services, I have decided to move my indie feed stuff kind of into the sidebar over there. And I have a few riders here with information about myself. But maybe the more indie stuff is then over here. A lot of Flexbox experiments going on here. This is the latest thing. So then I have a feed here, and I got lately inspired. This was actually just a few months ago that I can't remember who it was on the IRC channel, had a blog or a feed page which was really layouted like a timeline thing. And I got inspired by this, so I just recently built this timeline where I have these different icons for different post types. So I have bookmarks, retweets or reshares. I have events, which there's past events, upcoming events. Actually, I also built a little filter thingy here. So if you're only interested in my bookmarks, for example, you just put, maybe not the best UI for this purpose, but also it's only something I use myself. So now you have only my bookmarks here. With my bookmarks, I also went indie 3 or 4 years ago when I wrote a small bookmarklet, and since then I store all my bookmarks as private posts on my WordPress blog. And what I did in Brighton last September on the Indie Webcamp is that I built myself a workflow. If anybody's interested in this bookmark stuff, I can showcase it to you in more detail, where I can then, as I create the bookmark, I can already also create a public post, and I can integrate sharing it to Twitter and so on. A lot of things going on under the hood. One thing that I've done most recently, and that's actually one of the topics I brought with me, especially for today, if people are interested in this. It's something which was triggered by discussions. We just recently, in January actually, we founded a Homebrew Website Club in Berlin, together with Sven and Flo, who is not here today. And it ended up based on common interest that we are actually discussing a lot about privacy stuff and what's public, what's private, and these things. So one thing I just recently implemented, and I'm working on a blog post to explain it in more detail, is this. As was mentioned before, Jeremy and Aaron already introduced this idea of pulling back your social reactions from Twitter or these silos. What I changed here is that I'm nowadays anonymizing these. I do show that 4 people have liked this blog post on Twitter, 6 people have reshared it, but I decided to anonymize who that is. You can still click it, and then it takes you to the original Twitter post, and there you can see these faces. Because I've been starting to think a lot about, yes, I'm taking control of my own conversation by having this IndieWeb page, but at the same time I'm also taking ownership of other people's conversation if they continue or they decide to like something on Twitter. Even though I've talked to a few people, it's actually, if I like something on Twitter, it's more that I bookmark it for myself to reassess it later. But on my blog, it shows up as if these 4 people have actually read this rather long blog post. And I can reveal that 2 of these came within 35 seconds after I published the tweet, which somehow just triggered, again, this sociologist kind of challenging these thoughts. This is something, if anybody's interested today to have a Barcamp session on these privacy aspects of syndication and public social interactions, that would be something really interested. Actually, just now on the train, I was thinking this might actually be even something which is affected by this European GDPR legislation, which comes into force a year from now, where any individual is allowed to take even more control over their personal data. The other thing that I just recently started to work on, which would be for now, my plan to work on tomorrow, it might change if I get inspired for something else. I really want to get rid of LinkedIn. I don't like LinkedIn, but still I have a lot of business contacts who would like to kind of loosely stay in touch as you have it with LinkedIn. So you just occasionally you get pinged that this guy has a new job or this guy just started working on something completely different. I've always had an RSS feed. I've long had this microformat feed on my blog. So if you have an indie reader software, you of course can always follow me on Twitter, where you get pinged for my new blog posts or posts on my indie site. But this is something I want to work on now. I have identified that I do have a need to provide a newsletter option for, especially for example, for these loose business contacts. They're not people who use RSS. They're not definitely not people who have an indie reader. They might be people who follow Twitter, but that's something I don't want to be so dependent on Twitter. So I want to set up a way for people to subscribe to my updates, but not that you get an email with each little thing I post, but you can choose. Like the default would be a monthly summary, which is automatically generated. If you're really like I hope to get a wagging tail there by the end of the weekend. Also, like if you really want to know what's happening, you can get it once a week. Personally, I don't consider myself so important that there should be any tighter schedule than that. But then this one is an important one for me, this keep in touch options, where I just once or twice a year, I send out an email newsletter to people with the posts that I consider the most important posts, for example, on my page. And that's something I want to work on.
Nice. Cool.
Yes, looking forward to meeting you all.
Hello everyone, my name is Leo, I'm from Argentina and I live in Malaysia, and I came all the way from Malaysia for this event and a few other events. I was in Berlin in WordCamp and in Düsseldorf in Beyond Tellerrand, and this is for me also the great event that I'm so happy to be here, very excited. I work in a silo myself. I'm like a developer, always at home, always with my computer, and I need to meet people. Basically, sometimes you talk to people and then you never meet them. I was in Beyond Tellerrand the other day, and I saw people, real people that I met, that I had seen through avatars. Jeremy, actually, you're one of them. I see some websites, and it's very cool to actually be, talking to these people. So that's actually very exciting. So why am I here? I know about the indie web since last year, since September, and I was researching about this. So I'm still kind of a newbie. I haven't implemented anything about the indie web. But the funny thing is that I have been working on the indie web myself for the last 4 years on my own project, which has a lot of similarities with the indie web. So I'm going to show you that. So it's basically it's a framework for building social networks which are decentralized. It's based on WordPress because historically speaking, I started with WordPress and I started to improve it. And I came up with something that it was good enough that then I abstracted that and I made a framework from that. It's not a new JavaScript framework. It uses JavaScript, but the logic is all on PHP on the backend. So I feel very comfortable using this thing. But the most important thing from this guy is that there are two things. One is that everything is an API in which every single URL is its own API. So the website and the API are just one. You don't program the API on top of the website, but the website is the API. What does this mean? That if I want to access the data to render this page, I just put that one parameter. I'll put equals JSON and it gives me the data. This is configuration and object data, and if I only want the object data, there's another parameter and it only gives me the database stuff. So why is that cool the way I see it? Because it makes easy any website implemented on this framework to interact with each other, and that's what I call decentralized. So this guy is getpop.org, and this is fetching data here in this calendar from demo.getpop.org, different domain. And if I click on this event, it opens this locally. Okay? So this is actually really cool stuff, that different websites can actually communicate with each other. So what is my take on all of this? Why do I say that I'm working on the Indie Web Camp? Because I want to have, I want to give back control to your, of your own data to you. I don't give you a blog like WordPress gives you. That is already done. But I give you a social network. This is a software to make social networks. Let me show you one of the ones that I have. It's called, I'll show you this, agendaurbana.org. This is a political activism social network for people in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. My dad is actually retired, he's 75, and he doesn't like the new government, and they are making a mess there. So he told me, can you please give me a social network to communicate and to create events for the people to actually know what's going on and where and when and how. So this is a social network. Okay, well, this one we can close this, where people can see all the events, as I was showing you before, and anyone can actually post any information, add new event. Here you create it from the back, from then. If you submit, it will be online immediately. It works offline and all the stuff. And this social network can talk to another social network that I have. In this case, it's called messim.com. This one is on environmental topics in Malaysia. So what I want to say is, all of these guys, they are social networks all by themselves, and they can talk to each other. So what is my objective? That if everyone here has a social network about a topic, you can create a really big social network where each one of these small silos, which are called communities, own their own data. So I'm working inside of it in a higher level than just the indie web, which is you own your domain and your website. What I do is your community owns its own domain and its website. So the community on environmental issues can talk to the community on political activism, and they can share their data. So in that sense, this events calendar, which is, it's always the same as you can see in a way, it can show events from the other website. And this is for me my take, that then if you have 100 and then 1,000 and then 10,000 of these small communities, each one of them for maybe 10 people or 20 or 1,000 people, slowly you can actually get rid of Facebook. This is my drive, to get rid of Facebook, because there's no need to have one big guy owning the data, but you give it a structure to make it convenient to everyone to be part of something that they believe on. That's what I call a community. I belong to this community, and the data belongs to the community. So this is what I have been working on. So going back to this Getpop, this is open source, and I actually came here to show you the code, and to talk to you guys. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I've shown this in WordCamp Berlin a few days ago, and I was talking to some people from WordPress, and I asked them, do you like what I presented? And they were like, yes, I like it, I think it's a good idea, but I will not use it. Because I'm already all down into this other path, etc., right? And I don't want to implement yet another framework, and I completely understand. I didn't come to say use my stuff. But I came to show you what I have been working on for the last 4 years, because I'm quite sure that there's stuff here that can actually help your own projects. Just a couple of examples. First one is offline first. So this thing, if I disconnect from the internet, it will work, and it keeps all your activity, all the tabs that you have open. If I click here and here and here, all of these pages are open in tabs, and they are actually kept open. If I refresh this page when it's offline, everything will be there. So I think it's a cool UI with progressive web apps. I was actually looking at a talk the other day from Smashing Magazine from last year, that they were talking about the problem. How do you actually solve the problem of not having the back button when you have your progressive web app in full screen? My solution is I am recreating the tabs in the same application, and this is code that you can actually copy paste for your own website. That's actually quite cool. And the second one is a content CDN that this is actually really cool, I think, that all the content here is generated in WordPress, so it's dynamic, but it's being routed through a CDN, so it becomes static. And the way that it works is that if there is a new blog post, there will be a new thumbprint that will tell me which was the time that there's a new blog post. And so everything gets stale and everything gets regenerated. So this is awesome because you can keep using WordPress as a CMS, yet have it static. It's like it's a combination between WordPress and a static site generator. So it's very convenient and very powerful. And this is something that I also want to show because you have these talks on microservices and how to interact, how to regenerate your page and you deploy and everything. And this guy does exactly the same, but it's ready to use. And that's also my take, that, I mean, IndieWeb is awesome, but I don't want to have to force everyone to have their own website because, you know, I mean, you guys are, you have a lot of knowledge. But how do we make the tiny guy who doesn't have knowledge on computing and all this stuff to be able to also get all the benefits from microservices and static site generators and all that stuff? That's what I'm actually trying to work on. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks. Yeah, my name is Jan. I'm not really big into writing long blog posts or taking photos of my meals and cocktails or everything like that. So my website so far is just more or less contact infos and everything I need to use IndieApp. And but at the moment I'm trying to rewrite it as a combination of a dynamic backend and a static site generator in front of it. So it kind of goes into this direction. And yeah. If you want to talk about protocol flow and everything else, I'm the right guy for that.
Hi, I'm Dominic. Over the couple of last years, I haven't spent that much time on my website because I have a job and I have a family. So what I want to do is redo the site that I did 2 years ago, last update, and there's been a lot of stuff happening, and I've noticed that some of the people that need a website have no clue how to do that. I consulted on my in-laws' new website for their company, and they had no idea where to start. So I think there's like a big gap between the people that go to events like this and code conferences and the people that have shops and are used to advertising in newspapers and stuff, but have no idea about what to do about their website. So the last thing I did was I started writing a book for them, and that's where I where's the dash? There. So it's in German. I have about like 45,000 words right now, so it comes from this experience that people have no idea what they need to do on their website, what are the legal ramifications, what to look for in picking an agency and stuff. So it's like give it like a handout for my in-laws and people like them in small and medium-sized businesses that have no dedicated marketing team and so on. And I fell in love with Jekyll again with this site, and I want to redo my own site tomorrow based on Jekyll and possibly get HTTPS to work. Thanks.
Cool.
Morning. Sorry. I'm your friendly photographer for these 2 days. My name is Julianne and I work at Tallwork. And I have actually quite some things on my mind, and right now going through them while I was standing there I was like, what else can I say? Okay, first of all, I have a website which was born pretty much 1 year ago when we were attending the Indie Webcamp in Düsseldorf. Oh, somebody already visited it. And based on my nickname, which I think Jeremy, Aaron, Yoshi and Tantik thought was hilarious, they told me to register a domain for that name, which I then did. So yeah, I had a domain, but didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. So the first thing I did actually to have some content on the website until I figured out what I really want on it was to import I have to go back a little because I've actually created some new content since last year, but before that I didn't have anything, so I thought of maybe importing all my Tumblr posts, which I had collected from, I don't know, I think I started my Tumblr 6 years ago or something like that. So as a consequence of that, having imported everything from my Tumblr, I then decided I don't need the Tumblr anymore, so I deleted everything from there. I mean, it's not deleted, it's just invisible. But yeah, now I have it on my website, so I don't need the Tumblr for that anymore. The next step was that I still didn't have a real idea what to put on my website, so basically it's just a collection of photos I take, but it doesn't really have a concept or anything. I mean, it's called annoying, so why should there be a concept? But when I grew older, I thought maybe registering my own name would be a smart thing to do. So you can also access the website through this. And then I grew even more old, which you don't really see because I look younger. But where's the slash on the back? Damn it.
Down there.
Oh, that was simple, thank you. I thought about maybe creating my own portfolio so I can, I mean, actually the stuff I do, people who know my website can see the content, but people who don't know the website never get to see all these beautiful photos and animations. This is Shane, by the way. Hi, Shane, if you're watching. I created a portfolio which you can see on this very secret link that nobody knows. This is me. Hi. So I think my project for the next 2 days is to actually, I mean, I already collected some of the photography I did at the agency over the past couple of years, which is like, you know, I'm actually a designer, but nobody knows it, so I want people to know that I do stuff. So I registered a Facebook fan page name. And now I thought about maybe publishing the stuff that I have on my portfolio, which is a best of, in my opinion. Maybe put that also on Facebook because it's already on my website. So maybe I just create a business page on Facebook and put it all there. And then people who don't know about my website will see the stuff as well. And maybe have me do some cool things for them, like listening to music and creating illustrations from what I hear, because that's what I do in my free time. Yes. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it.
Cool.
You'll see the pictures later.
Yeah. Who's next? Oh yeah, come around.
Hello everybody, I'm Alex. I'm I'm iOS developer, Unity developer, and since some months I started to create videos for YouTube. So I'm not quite used to create websites. I'm here because Yoshi just gave me a short introduction to this Indie Web Week, and it's really interesting. So I'm going to show you now my website. So like I told you, I'm not really used to create websites, so that's why I have just a very simple website. And what I realized in the last months was that every time I go on a website from different people, I can't really see what are they really doing? Where are they active? Are they posting their stuff on Instagram? Are they doing things on Twitter? Or where do they where are they publishing their stuff? Things they do every day. So that's why I started to set up all my social media platforms directly in the front, because I want people to come directly to the work I do every day. That's not everything where I'm online, but yeah, quite enough for the beginning. So here are the things that I do every day. So my YouTube channel, and dumpster diving, and some other stuff. Then there was another thing that I thought was my website will change every day, will change from time to time. I would like to see the progress, and so I put up another page where I will save my old websites, and I can still access them later, and they will still work, so that I see, so that you can see the progress. I think that's, wait. It's a little bit big, everything. I came today because I wanted to hear some new ideas about the indie web scene, and see what everybody's doing, getting new ideas. And I want to connect all the social media with my websites in the beginning, but after Yoshi told me everything about the indie web scene, I realized that I have to create the content on my own website and then publish it to the social media. And yeah, today I want to get some new ideas how to do this, and yeah. Thank you.
You bringing your own laptop?
Shortcuts. Oh yes, I'll keep it short because I always tell the same story, so most of you already know it. That's my website, jkdhl.is. I made it like 4 years ago, I think, 3 years ago. Launched it on 1st of January, and I had the plan to publish a lot of blog posts and stuff like that. I think it's like 5 up to the day, so I'm not really doing good at that. One of the reasons is that I'm not really content with the basis I built this upon. It's built on Typo3, which is a content management system, some of you might know. We're specialized on that, so that was low-hanging fruit actually, but I thought it's like too complicated to publish that. So I didn't do a lot of things on that website recently. The only thing I was doing recently was adding events. For example, this Indie Web Camp today, because I wanted to publish Indie Web events. Marked with microformats and stuff like that. Then about like 1.5 years ago, I started to work on new kind of technology I would like to use in the future. Unfortunately, up to today, there is only a bunch of libraries which I will at some point try using for publishing. In fact, I gave Tantec the promise to change somewhere in 2017, so time's running. What I was working on recently mostly is like writing a second generation of this thing. I was doing it like 2 or 3 years ago, which is kind of a meta parser for micro information in websites. That means it parses like micro formats, HTML microdata, and most recently I added RDFA Lite. And well, this is the second generation, and that's just the demo page I made last weekend in Düsseldorf. It doesn't really work well at this point because the parse is a little bit too angry about some stuff, but you see that's like I just fetched my website and parsed all the micro information out of it, and this is micro format stuff, and there's also this is HTML microdata, so it's a pretty neat way to see what's inside a page, different formats. That's it so far.
Cool.
So, my name is Sebastian. I think I'm the original Sebastian because I'm the oldest one. And here's my website that literally started last year on the last IndieWeb camp here in Nuremberg. So, as you see, it's very pure because this perfectly reflects my designer abilities. But there's lots of stuff beyond that. So, I think I have something about, and if you go down there, you have my social accounts. I'm not very active here. I have an RSS feed, and this page is full of microdata because I simply like the idea to work once and have it readable to humans as the same way as computers. So you have one time doing the work, presenting it, and as you present it, you can read it and you can use it by other things. I did several websites before, same type, not very complicated. All threw it away because when I'm working, it might happen that I don't have time for several months to work on my homepage. And I didn't like updating for exploit things and all that stuff and all that. So I searched for a new way, found it last year at the IndieWeb camp, doing static websites with Jekyll. So this is Jekyll. On the other hand, there were some things I want to work on this weekend because I don't like Jekyll because of Ruby and it's a dependency nightmare. I couldn't get much to work. So I tried to switch to Python. Because Python has a virtual environment, you can build up a virtual environment on your computer and then install all the stuff with the right versions you need, and it's completely in our own environment. And I'm lucky. There's something like Jekyll, it's called Hide, and it's nearly the same in Python, and I'll try to go that way. The second thing I want to try is bring in dynamics into my static homepage, and I don't know how much dynamics I want to have and how to bring it in, and I will work on that. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm Callum, it's my website callumwright.com. I publish content from here out to Twitter and Facebook, so syndication, and there are a few web technologies that I've implemented so far for web mentions and Micropod. So those are using tools built within the community. A few other things, because I'm British, I put the weather on every post. And I run a Homebrew website club in London, so that's every 2 weeks. And I have RSVP info on who's coming, also who isn't coming. That's a confession. Yeah, that is one of the things which I'm hoping to improve a bit at some point. I probably won't be doing a huge amount of coding this weekend because I've done quite a few things over the past week, which has slightly put me a bit tired of doing stuff like that. But yes, so this weekend I'm thinking of doing some evaluation of the IndieWeb technologies. Some of you might be to a workshop on Thursday. Sounds good. So on that weekend we evaluated every technology, and if you have a chance, have a look at this wall, because I think we're probably not going to spend as much of that time doing that today, but I think it'd be good to evaluate the IndieWeb technologies this weekend, and possibly tomorrow I'd like to maybe present that in a way that's easy for new people to look at IndieWeb.
Cool.
Okay.
Who's next?
Hi, I am the original Sebastian. That is with double A at the end. Yeah, my site is Dutch. Yeah, this is Zeblog. I have this site for about 11 years now, but it's the IndieWeb part is about 2 years old, I guess. I just got check-ins working as well, using Aaron's Own Your Swarm thing. That's kind of new for me. And yesterday I made this little map showing where I am on my front page. Last IndieWeb camp last week, I made a IndieAuth endpoint for my site, so I can now, using a site like Quill, which is Aaron's micropub web app, I can now log in as myself, and instead of directing me, like I was first using indieauth.com to do this, but now I've got my own endpoint, and I changed this password into something I can remember so I can show. It now goes and authenticate with Quill without use of indieauth.com, and now I can post something here on my own site using Quill. Oh, that's not, how do we do that? These things are wrong. I will do Nuremberg. Nuremberg, is it right?
Yes. Yeah.
No, this is micropub. If I post this, I can also do this on Twitter. This will now post to my site. And if you refresh, you see that there's a little Twitter icon, which means that it's also automatically on Twitter. So that's IndieAuth and micropub. Cool. Oh, and Posse, because it's on Twitter.
Hello, my name is Marcus. I'm working as a software developer on backend and frontend. I don't actually have my own website. I have a domain, but no website. But I'm excited about owning my own data. So I'm not really using Twitter or Facebook or that in a big way. But I've been thinking about it would be nice to own my own pictures. So not to have them on Flickr. In particular, it's a lot of data, and you don't want to have this data in 30, 50 years. And yeah, so at the moment I still have it on my own hard drive and organized in folders and so on. It would be nice to have a good solution for that. That also works on mobile, offline and so on. Actually, I just remembered today that I've written a solution for that some time ago for writing a travel blog. 7 years ago I've been traveling in Australia, and I wanted to write a travel blog. So there were some startups, but I didn't want to give them my data, not because, well, I want this to be available in 30 years and they might be gone. And I can just quickly show you that it's not the most active open source project. But actually it might be and it's not really high ranked.
I think you have to take the search only for, because things travel alog is a spelling mistake.
Search
no.
only, just where it says
Second line.
There, search only for. There we go.
Here it is. Okay, so the thing that I built a couple of years ago, well, you can write your own, you have a directory of pictures, so to speak, there, so you have control over your data, you can put them anywhere, you describe what you've been doing, where you have been, the geo coordinates, and it's a static website, so to speak, so you can host it on your own web server. You can also open it locally, actually, on your own computer, and you can, well, look at where you've been traveling around. It generates this map out of your data. And yeah, so that's one of the ideas that I'm currently excited about. Maybe it would be nice to work on that. Okay.
Hi everybody, my name is Toby. It's my first time here in the webcam. Let me show you my website. So here it is. So it's actually just a domain. I registered it about 15 years ago, and it used to be kind of a guest book. You know guest books. And I shut it down 5 years ago because there only came spam, was spam incoming, so I shut it down and didn't put much work into it. And it was a space for my friends and me just to leave comments there. Today you do things like that on a WhatsApp group or something like that. And I thought, oh, there's no need for a guest book from friends and me. The funny thing is, friends always ask me, hey Toby, can you put it online again? Because it's different to communicate it was different to communicate on this guest book than you do it on WhatsApp or Facebook, because it's more private and more honest, and so we miss it, and maybe I can start it over again. And my private website, my personal website, it's more just like a business card. I used to have my Twitter feeds below here, but somehow I fucked it up, so I put it out again, and yeah, maybe I can somehow get the Twitter feed back here down again. Yeah.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Sven. My blog is at Sven Knebel. .de, and I started it early last year. It's running a self-written Python thing, which on the one hand means that I know where to integrate stuff. On the other hand, it can't even do stuff like pagination. And luckily, I'm getting to the point where my homepage is getting too large to use because I have too many posts, which is surprising to me because writing any content was the thing I'm most worried about with starting. But for instance, because we started Homebrew Website Club in Berlin, I have something to post about. Stuff I've done in the last few weeks is mostly in the backend and not to show. But there are a few other things I've done. So since last weekend, I was watching the Indie Webcamp in Düsseldorf on YouTube, and YouTube and notifications is pretty embarrassing how bad that works. So that's why I wrote a script to tell me when the stream goes online. And somewhere in here should be, yeah. And I now turned that into an IRC bot, so everyone in IRC automatically gets a notification if Aaron starts a new stream for any webcams. And another thing is for the Homebrew Website Club right now, because for a tech event in Berlin, you basically have to be on meetup.com, but meetup.com gets quite expensive really fast, because like the basic thing, you can have like 50 members, but since join a meetup is basically bookmark, you run through 50 members within weeks, and basically we are on Meetup right now for promotion purposes, but we want to get off it as fast as possible. So we've been starting to design a website for our Homebrew Website Club, which basically location, map, and then also some indie web integration like the face pile at the bottom is supposed to be the RSVPs, and we're hoping to get that online and do this as independent as possible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Martin, and I have a little website. So, oh, cool. Why not?
Because of the N, maybe?
Huh? No, that's yeah. There's my for the non-German speakers, my family name translates to bunny ball, so that's completely okay here. But okay, when the German stuff doesn't work, let's take another language. So, plain basic website with just some contact information, and the only cool thing about this is, yes, it's HCART already, and when you come to the Swedish domain, you get the Swedish words, and when you come to the French domain, you get the French words, and when you get to the German domain, you should get the German domain, if Germany had some internet. So, on my day job, I'm a data analytics guy working for biggest corporate here in the area, doing market data, corporate data, all the day numbers and code. And in my free time, I'm holding lectures about how to develop Java, how to make up your own Android application. And we're having workshops with Raspberry computers for making smart home, building your own cloud at your home in a shoebox or whatever. And yeah, and I read your book. So that's basically all about me. Thank you.
Hello, I'm another Jeremy, Jeremy Cherfus, and I feel a bit like Sebastian Greger because I was indie originally because there wasn't anything else to do. I wrote HTML pages long ago, but it's never been my job in a way, and it's always been my job in a way because I work in communications and journalism and things like that. And I recently semi-retired, so I'm taking it up again. This is my website. I've been through many incarnations, from handwritten to a CMS called Nucleus that some of you may know, to WordPress, got very fed up with WordPress, moved to Octopress, which was a front end for Jekyll, got very fed up with that, and so I'm now in a thing called Grav, which is not ideal for bloggers and people who want to tinker, but I'm loving it anyway. I started working in IndieWeb about 18 months ago, I guess. And a couple of the things I have is I have another CMS called Known, with Known, and this is coming in from my Known stream, which is also in my website. One of the things that Grav was never designed to do is to have comments. There is a comments plugin and there is a web mentions plugin, and I've been struggling with trying to get web mentions coming back into my Grav blog. It works beautifully on Known. Known is designed from more or less from the ground up. But one of the things I want to, maybe unless I get inspired to do something completely different, one of the things I want to try and do here is to wrap my head around the plugin that tries to do this for Known, for Grav, because I think it could be a lot cleaner. I mean, I'm very grateful. I'm not a coder, and I'm incredibly grateful to everybody who makes these things available. And I'd quite like to give back if I could, but I don't know how. And so that's one of the things I'm here doing. Another issue I have is that I actually have quite a lot of sites because I make a podcast which has its own site, and I teach bread making and make bread, which has its own site, and I've been wrestling with whether I want those to be all one site or whether I don't care, and I go back and forth on that, and I think at the moment I don't care, because this is like my personal site. A lot of you have shown business sites. Those other ones, and I'll just show you one of them quickly, which is the one that I am. This one is kind of being indie-webified. No, it's not. Oh, okay. I thought I'd fixed this. The picture seems to have gone, never mind. This one is indie-webified, and so it does actually, somewhere, I'll give it up. It does receive web mentions and things like that. But I don't think there's any great need to have them all in one place. So I'm sort of giving up on that. Okay, thank you.
Down to the last two.
Hi, my name is Oliver, and sorry, but I'm pretty scared of speaking to more than 2 people, but I try.
You're welcome.
I'm the first time here, and it's just a few weeks ago that I heard about IndieWeb. I was really excited, and I avoid any kind of social networks because once I read AGB in English. Terms and
conditions.
Terms of service. Thanks. And I was so upset that I said never. I create websites for therapists and doctors. I've just started that business, and up to now I always advise them, don't use that stuff. And I'm here, I want to open my mind and get new ideas, because I felt if I avoid everything, I get locked in. And I think that's not the idea of the internet. Thank you.
All right, last one.
Yeah, my name is Walter. I'm a freelance web developer from Frankfurt, Germany. I have the website a long time ago. It's a mix of all kinds of stuff. It's a collection of static things. I used kind of as an archive. I have a blog that's in WordPress. And the site itself is written in PHP. And I go another way, like from what other people here do a lot is I'm not posting from my website. I have Twitter, for example, and I pull it from Twitter, so I'm not pulling it in and not posting it to social networks because I found it easier to post it on the platform and then pull in my stuff, and I'm not pulling it everything and just the most recent stuff. I also have SlideShare. I was last year at IndieWeb in Düsseldorf. We had a discussion about your personal website and professional website. After this discussion, I changed my website because this was like a mix of personal and professional. So I removed all my professional stuff because of like certificates I had, and moved it all away and make it more about the personal stuff I have. And I also have a search on it. It's built on Yossi's search engine because I have static stuff and dynamic stuff in different systems. So I'm crawling my own website so I can find stuff on my own website. And I had like in Google before, but I noticed that some pages I couldn't find anymore in Google. So that's why I use my own search engine. And also the privacy stuff I was thinking about, someone told about, because I also have SlideShare on it, and I removed all the pictures because the pictures were loaded from SlideShare directly, so it's only the text and it's only linked to SlideShare. So yeah, that's about it.
Cool. All right, thank you everybody for demoing. So how are we doing on schedule? Lunch is going to be at 12:30, right? So what I think what we should do is put a schedule together now, but maybe we won't have the first session until after lunch.
It's 45 minutes.
You think it's time to put a schedule together and have a session?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it might take a while.
Well, Julie just left and she will probably be back in like 45 minutes or something with food, so
yeah,
might be taking a little bit longer.
Sure.
Let's start by making a schedule for after lunch and onwards. And if we do that quickly, we can always have a quick something before lunch or break. So will we say from 1:30 onwards, like lunch from 12:30 to 1:30?
Until when? 4:30? 5:30?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. 4 slots.
4 slots. Okay. So if we're doing hour long, yeah, yeah, that feels about right. Okay, so should we get some light in here?
Yes.
All right.
Post times.
Yes, we've got large size post-its. So I think we're going to use this blackboard here to start the post-its on. So, in fact, should we clear away some space in front of the blackboard?
Yeah, why don't we
crowd? We'll go crowd around. rooms as such in here, but we could have this be a room on this side and